like Fiora, you could say, unlocks Flame a little bit more in his style of play.
Yeah, especially when a lot of the problems that he has, it's not about individual mechanics or anything like that. It's about communication. It's about being on the same page with the team. And we saw that on the Jarvan. And the Jarvan has to work very well with the Orianna and with the rest of the team on when to engage and how to engage in these sorts of things. Whereas with Fiora, I mean, yes, you need communication and split push as far as the push and pull, but for the most part, you're just on an island and you kind of just do your own thing while the four-man squad tries not to die.
A lot of people didn't like that before. Now they want to be on. Now they just want to fight on the island. It's been changing.
The island is a great place to be if you're the Fiora, because Fiora owns the island.
So nice. It's your getaway. Little R&R. Ken and Thresh, a few of the same things we're seeing here against Ole and Flame. And there's the Ivern Zyra once again. A lot of control being taken away from Phoenix1 in the composition with those.
It definitely is. And I mean, Ivern is something that is so powerful, especially in combination with the other shielding supports. We haven't really seen it in NA, but we have seen it abroad where teams just do a first-round draft of like Karma and Lulu. You know, you can do things like that where you can just have mid lane Karma or Lulu, and you can run the protect the AD carry compositions, which I think for both of these teams does kind of play towards their strengths because their AD carries are some of the strongest members on their team.
There is the Zac attack. Banned out. Phase 1 is over as the Karma will not be seen here in Game 2. Everything else is up for grabs.
I definitely expect, I think, probably just first pick Lulu. I think that is very, very strong if you want to go that route. It's an easy blind pick. And since Ivern and Karma are already off the table, there's not really kind of like a shielding support type answer. That said, you know, Caitlyn is also very strong as far as the pushing power of that, and that is going to be given over to Arrow, who already was doing very well in lane on that Varus. Interesting,
but also shows comfort right now. First pick me that. We know we don't have a lot of lockup and shields on the other side. Well, Immortals answer be here for 1 and 2.
And I mean, either way, for Immortals, they were going to get a trade, right? If you take Caitlyn, then you can probably grab Lulu. If they take Lulu, then you can probably grab Caitlyn. So I definitely expect them to draft the Lulu here. If they don't take it at all, then I would be really surprised by the lack of priority there. But it is possible to just pick up something like the Elise instead if you want, but I definitely think the clear-cut pick here would just simply be Varus and Lulu, and you run back essentially, you know, the opposite lane.
Says he wants to lead, and he has a voice here in second pick as well. Varus, Elise are the pickups for Immortals.
And no priority on, you know, Xayah either, which has been very highly prioritized by some teams and some members, especially, you know, we saw it shown off in combination with Rakan by CLG earlier today. We saw some Xayah in Europe as well, and it can be very, very strong, but I'm just not really a big fan of the draft so far for Immortals, just simply because I feel like giving over the Lulu is kind of a mistake. Yes, you can draft something like a Nami that lanes very well against it or whatever, but Caitlyn Lulu is such a powerful duo, and the fact that like blue side can actually get both of these picks without really having to give up anything that they really care about feels like Immortals has already kind of dropped the ball a bit. I mean, Elise is not really an Inori champion whatsoever. Like I don't even think that Inori would have played Elise if it were left up. So why are you prioritizing that so early? Why are you trying to get that out?
It's down there in his picks for sure. Interesting as well. Renekton getting locked in here, so top lane choice coming in for Flame as he wants a little bit more damage in that pressure. I mean, he had the Jarvan last time. He had what he needed. This time he's going to get a little bit of more tankiness in it.
Yeah, you do get a little bit more tanky, and one of the big things is that your early game pressure is very, very high. You know, you're such a lane bully, and in combination with Elise, that's a very powerful diving duo. So if they can get to a strong place, you know, depending on what Phoenix1 picks as their top laner, the 2v2 can be very heavily in the favor of Elise Renekton, and diving is very powerful with your level 6 ultimate. You have more HP to tank up the turret, plus Elise can reset the turret aggro with Repel. So Immortals should look to try to ban out 2 top laners probably from Zig and try to get a very advantageous matchup, because that's really where they need to get their edge from this draft.
There's Immortals, and maybe we'll see a little bit more drafting composition that would actually favor their lane switching early again.
I mean, it's possible. I think it's going to depend upon a lot, like what support they pick, like if they can actually push. Because right now, you know, Caitlyn and Lulu is a very strong pushing lane that can shove you in, and you know, with Karma off the table, Zyra off the table, who are 2 of the other really strong pushing supports.
There's some rotation.
you know, Bard can be good with rotations, but you do expect this lane to be pushed in against the Caitlyn and the Lulu if they really want to shove.
There's the other side of that we were talking about just a second ago. The Shen now to the Kled for Zig, as he's going to be going even more forward in these fights. They pick up Ryu on the Orianna, as he was Ahri in the first game, and that may go to the hands of Pobelter.
And Ahri, you know, as the counter pick to Orianna, it's one of the best matchups in that 1v1. It can be very, very strong. So Pobelter should have the advantage there. You would expect that Flame should have the early advantage against Zig. But that said, this as a teamfight composition from Phoenix1 is ridiculously powerful. And the engage is going to be so strong. It's so easy to actually deliver that shockwave because you pop the Kled. Olaf is charging in behind with the Orianna ball on them, and you can pick people off very easily with that. You can initiate team fights very easily with that. And Olaf just does not care about any of their CC. There's no like shielding, so there's no peel because, you know, Cocoon's not going to do anything, Charm's not going to do anything. You can't actually stop him. So it's very, very scary for the Varus to have this shielded up, powered up Olaf charging you down.
Well, we'll see if Cody's son can keep himself safe. Varus not having the most escapes in his kit. You can just throw down that hail of arrows, and Chain of Corruption will just be eaten by a Nori's Olaf. We'll see how they do. Like you said, an aggressive composition, but a little more aggression as well into the hands of Immortals. Flame getting a Renekton he can be a bit of a beast with now in the top lane, as opposed to kind of waiting for his Jarvan to come online. You see there, hashtag P1, hashtag IMT win as we go into game 2. Phoenix1 holding true with their strength of the third place team coming out of the split, or a spring split, I should say. Here with a game 1 win, looking to make it 2-0.
Yeah, I think they're on course to do so. I think that their composition is very strong. They do have to play around some of their weaknesses, which would be perhaps the early solo lanes. There may be some advantages for Renekton and Ahri, especially in combination with the Elise, which is such a strong early ganker. Olaf obviously can match to a point, but it's more at level 6 that Olaf is kind of, you know, able to match against that Elise when you don't have to worry about the crowd control. So we'll see if Immortals is actually able to get anything done early, or if P1 is going to roll through this series.
All right, we are on the Rift. A very early Varus Elise pick, so we'll make sure we keep an eye on those and how strong they play out for Immortals. Smithy as well, we just heard him saying needed more of a leader voice on the team, right? A lot of people expected kind of Pobelter to be that as Immortals started, and Pobelter still had that mid kind of job to do, if you will. A lot of pressure there. Now Smithy comes in, can start to relieve a bit of that pressure, and maybe we'll find that Season 1 Immortals brought out once again.
And that would be exciting for the team. And you know, it can take some time.
Oh yeah.
When you have a new leader on the team, a new voice, because it can give you a new way to actually play the game as a whole. And you know, Dardoch to Smithy is a very big change. It can be a positive change if he works better and integrates better into the team, but you need to get used to that. They've actually been spotted here, I think, but Smithy may not have seen them sneak their way in. If they can catch it with an axe, they could actually force a summoner here.
He's gonna wait. Oh, they're going all the way around. So they're not going to allow him Raptors.
Oh,
they're going to push him out.
It's going to
force a flash as well. Nicely done. The bear trap would have pulled him back. Luckily, it did not trigger in time for him to head over. But now they'll be able to work a little bit more towards that top side of the jungle, and they're going to rinse and repeat.
They have to be a bit careful here, though. I mean, they could get collapsed on. They don't actually know that they're there. So they may actually try to do a delayed attack here onto Smithy, but there's 3 members up here. And
missed. Cosmic
Nori's
Binding taken down to Nori. It's going to Flame. Is that going to be first blood for him? There is no smite here. His ghost is down, and so is a Nori to start things off. Exactly what Immortals needed, and now they're going to be pushing through. A kill to possibly come through on Zig. He's got Scarlet to hop off. May not be a chase after that, but not what P1 wanted for the start. Immortals smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, I mean, Nori and Zig just never left. After they forced the flash, they just stayed there. And yes, there will be some losses as far as the minions and XP, so we'll have to give it a few minutes and see where things really end up going. But it's first blood for Flame. That's where they needed to kind of have some early success, so that is good for them. The bot lane may end up being a struggle because, you know, they're going to be down in XP and perhaps get bullied heavily off this as they blew summoners and P1's bot lane did not. So you really have to wait until all the summoners have come back up, then evaluate this. And
see it again. Flame was also getting level 2 there, so expect Zig to take some damage.
Oh, he did actually spot him. So he actually did see him go into that bush. So Smithy is playing it cool. They know they're there, and that is why they call up the whole team. And Ole was really the guy who was able to make this happen. Nails the binding, and then Flame levels up his stun. Good follow-up there. And then, getting another binding down, was able to force out a flash.
Also keep track, we did have the flashes blown by Ole to continue that play. His Ignite is down, so kill pressure to Arrow and Shady in a lane that did very well last time. They're coming off that momentum. See Cody-san stepping up, feeling good in the situation. And Ole is trying to grab brush control still. So Immortals, they are not hesitating and trying to create pressure in different areas.
Yeah, they're definitely not, and we'll see how much they can actually get done with this. And also, when Flame is going to take the time to base. Looks like they're doing a 3-man collapse onto Ryu, and they do have Flash on Flame, but he's playing it safe.
Seeing that pressure towards mid, that means P1 going hard in the bot lane. Ole, big damage, that's a headshot. Caliber net backwards, the Ignite is down. That's the kill pressure we were just talking about. With summoners down, they focus Ole, possibly focusing Cody-san, but he drinks up the cocoa and stays safe. Good guy, Ole.
And that's exactly why you have to kind of wait to see who really got the edge from that, because their bot lane was down on summoners because of that invade, because of what happened. And the fact that P1's bot lane was able to capitalize on this means really level 1 did not matter now. They're probably, if anything, at an advantage because they have the edge in the bot lane with Arrow and Shady on such a strong 2v2 type lane.
They can all turn so quick, and that was only an Ignite needed. It went through the heel. We'll see it again right here.
And Ole, I mean, he's stepping forward. He's posturing pretty aggressively. He needs to remember he has no summoners. So, you opt into this fight. P1 can look like they're losing the trade, but they have the summoner advantage, so they're still quite a bit ahead. And Shady did a good job landing both of his Qs there, lands the Ignite, able to finish him off.
As well, Shady waited for that Thunderlords to come back up, going in and out of the engages, making sure he got that proc once again. Great timing.
Really is. And another thing you kind of have to track is the fact that Flame never went back to base yet. So great, he got first blood. What has that gold done for him? They're laning evenly here because they're both just sitting on the same items. Had Flame started with a second Doran's item, that's a different story, but he didn't actually decide to go back and spend that gold and TP back to lane for a lane advantage. So that's the safer play, but it means that they're getting nothing from this first blood just yet.
It helps for Zig. He's on one of his main champions, if not the main, so he's just kind of selected hard mode for this game. If Flame did even get a level lead because of the early kill. But he's holding out great. Now Smitty's going to be on that top side. His jungle is clear. You may see a little bit of love here as these minion waves are piling up.
And you do have to be a little bit careful as Zig, as the wave is getting pushed in and Flame is approaching 6. That's where you really cannot afford to get dove, because if you lose all these minions, that is so devastating. It's actually oftentimes worse than just dying itself, is losing the XP, because you'll come back down 2 levels, and that's kind of why Honore is also up here around this time. You need to have your jungler protecting you, and likewise, Smithy is around topside because he needs to have his jungler escorting the wave in, so that he is also safe and doesn't get ganked when he's pushed that far up.
Oh, Ryu trying to play the ball game. Sometimes you get yourself in trouble, but he was waiting for Honore, and Pole Belter almost took the bait on that one. Ignites held and flashes on both sides. As now the jungler topside, Smithy may feel a little more inclined to get some position after seeing Honore mid.
He did see Honore there, and he's sneaking up through the brushes. So, I mean, the only thing is Flame hasn't fought yet, right? So they have to keep that in mind. He doesn't have any items, so he's not particularly strong, but Zig moving forward, he's going to get jumped on.
What a great bait by Flame coming in on this one. Will not get Scarl back, and Zig goes down with teleport down as well.
Really well played, and he is going to lose that whole wave, so that is very bad for him. Now Flame gets a really good base timing, and they lose that XP. Cody-san, pretty low, will survive though.
Nice little relic heal there by Ole, throwing out the cup of cocoa. And we even see Arrow with the assist and kills they got coming back. Trying to farm up his call, and just get extra gold out of that, knowing they have a strong lane.
Yep, and they're really going to try to push their advantage through turret damage. It's not necessarily about the farm, because Cody-san has been farming very well, but they did get a kill, and you can get up there and get a lot of damage down on the turret. Shady also, pretty atypical for pro, but it's something that I do like to see, is the early upgraded gold generation item. So he picks up the early Frostfang, and because he's constantly putting that on cooldown, he's actually going to have a lot more gold from it, in 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Love that mana regen as well. If you're Lulu, you just need to keep spitting out the help picks and the spells. Honore, this could be where P1 gets a little scary. Not something they need to do, so they call it off. He's going to go ahead and see what he can do over here at blue, as Smithy was smelling something crazy in the bot lane.
And Smithy did go the Moby Boots build, so you kind of have to really move around the map, and they're going for this play right now.
Oh, they're moving and shaking, baby. Arrow now the focus on this. Flashing forward, there's the help as well. Level 5s, no level 6s here just yet, and Nori is going to make his way over to Ole. Ole flashes out, and now it's Flame that has come down. Ryu picks up a kill for himself as it's just a scatter for Immortals in the end, not knowing Nori was in the jungle.
Oh, Smithy does hit the cocoon.
Doesn't look like it's ended. They're still going for the fight. A shockwave hits Flame, doesn't do much damage. This is going to be a Nori going down, and now Flame coming up huge. Ryu's going to get taken down with one more swipe, and Shady. Arrow's also in a bad spot, looking for the execute. Nobody gets the auto on him. Cody's son diving deep, puts the snorkel on. He goes down, and it looks like, I should say Zig, as he goes down now. Cody's son trying to stay alive.
That's
with
an
Zig
ace.
diving him.
An 8-minute ace.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What?
Mayhem is only one down from Immortals.
Oh, what a ridiculous series of events. So, I mean, this is a good play from Immortals. They want to try to force something, but Nori is down here. He can respond pretty quickly. It was a good flash from Shady. Everyone's TPing in, and basically all madness just breaks out here. They do kill off Olay, and P1 gets pretty confident with this. They know the Pobelt are still mid. They feel like they can go for a dive, but the fact that Smithy is here, lying in wait, they're walking in with no vision. So much of Nori's health is chunked out. They're tanking the turret on the right side this whole time, and they just get whittled down because Flame is very strong. Arrow actually, you know, he shouldn't have been here in the first place, but the fact that he's already there gives up an execute instead of a kill.
We're going right through the batting order again. Pobelter picks himself up a kill. Shockwave is down, and Immortals activate on the mid lane. Through the catalyst was Smithy there coming in. Ole tried to get his hands on that a bit, but Immortals much more proactive this game with his composition than they were in game 1.
Definitely, and I actually can't remember the last time I saw an ace that early. It's very CLG-esque. But they had already played, and here it is, on to Ryu, trying to juke out the cocoon, but Smithy just waits him out. Very nicely done. Cocoon into the charm. Really smart stuff from him. Allow him to just juke himself to death because he didn't have flash.
Simple Elise mind games. You run up, throw the Q first. Almost looks like Cocoon. Then he's running back towards the turret. Grab him. Nice farming. Love watching Zig do this.
Yeah, I mean, with the Moby Boots in the Aether, which be so ridiculously fast that he's going to get right up in your face and be able to kind of do this sort of a play. And unless you have a summoner, you can't actually really do anything about it. He'll just run up point blank.
Well, that's what they're betting on. Both summoners down right now for Ryu, and he's actually been playing the mind game, if you will, with the ball and throwing at Pobelter. So Pobelter has had the upper hand. Tempered Fate just off to the side as Immortals again pressuring bot lane, not giving P1 any time to really set anything up. And this may call pressure for Nori mid to see if they can gather something there.
And it should be first turret. This is actually super smart from Immortals, because if you think about the advantage that P1 was accruing was really the turret damage. You can see that bot lane turret was so low, and you come down, you make this play, and then all that is essentially for naught. They get first turret anyway. They open up the map more. They can control vision, and that's an Infernal Dragon that they could look to next.
Turrets like that as well for Immortals, I feel, are ones you can predict the team's going to take, and they can make something else happen on the map for themselves. It being so low, you know someone's going to be down there. You can take the fight if you want it. It's all easier said than done, but just about 2.4 thousand gold in the lead already. Immortals may be able to do whatever they want. Here we go for that dragon as they recuperate from the backing. Or at least just grabbing vision for now. Maybe they'll take the fight knowing it's a long lane.
I mean, they could just go for them again. They're so far up. There's no turret here. You're not safe, and Elise is back again.
And that is why they took the Varus the Elise to begin. Unfortunately, it cannot continue this time. One safety minion up. Are they going to take it? Pobelter goes to the wall. Oh, finds Arrow, the kiss of death. Coming in immediately. The charm saved up for Shady. They're going to go 2 on this one. Pobelter looking to get it. Cody's son will secure that one, if you will. Ryu trying to push mid lane. He is winding up, but not doing too much work.
And P1 just not really kind of showing their respect over to their opponents. The fact that they're that far up in the lane, without really a lot of vision in the area, without a turret to defend you, without summoners.
That's that play. They're going to go for this turret. Let's make a play on them. Immortals kind of doing the fundamentals here. Get themselves the Infernal. We'll have nice vision around this area, and if they need to even give Flame help, they can head topside to do that. They have great control so far.
Now this is a very heavy damage team that they're running, and when you have a composition that loves to build a lot of AP and AD, that Infernal is that much more valuable. So here is the initial play. You can see in the background the Bard and the Ahri were already roaming down, and that's what kind of gives them the confidence to move forward. They have to retreat momentarily here when Inori does show up, but Inori is right? He can't actually do a lot in these fights. So is Arrow. They know they don't have summoners, so Pobelter has the confidence just to dive right in there, knowing they can't really turn on him.
Great, simple mechanics by Pobelter. So easy to cast one of those wrong, but he hits everything spot on. Flame.
That feels
turret pushed
bad when you're getting actually proxied off your turret in a 1v1. And Flame is playing a very strong early champion, got first blood, picked up a couple more kills in that bot lane ace, and he is just so much stronger than Zig at this point. That Zig is really getting bullied and falling very, very far behind.
And it seems like we saw, Jarvan last time. We were talking about the Fiora for Flame, but now the Renekton. It seems like the Fiora, the Renekton, more than just one engage. The Jarvan kind of leaves him with the one option. The Renekton continues to go in the fight, and that seems to favor Flame's mechanics, Flame's fight style.
Yeah, and I also think that Renekton can kind of be more aggressive and push an edge in the lane more than kind of this bruiser, tanky build that is the same thing for Jarvan. I just think that Renekton is more of an early game champion.
Yeah. See what he can do with 3-0-2. Also in mid lane, the solo lanes for Immortals right now matched up and heavy hitters. Got 14 minutes in. We'll see how they use it. If they're kind of going back to somewhat of a laning phase. They've broken out of the bottom now because they need to use this pressure, and it looks like they will put it mid.
And you want to see Immortals continue to look to make plays, and this is a good attempt because now you can get a little bit of damage down on the turret. Had they landed that should be a kill. They don't, but they need to constantly make plays because you do not have as well of a scaling comp, right? You have a Bard versus a Lulu. You have, the Elise is going Moby Boots and getting picked off.
You don't have an Elise at the moment, actually. 30 seconds on the clock for Xmithie with no teammates behind him.
That's tough, and maybe that's the thing, though. You need to constantly make the plays and push the edge, because if you get late game 5v5 with this composition, with the Orianna, the Caitlyn, the Lulu, and this big beefy front line, it's going to be so hard for Immortals to match up. So despite their early game success, they need to get more, and they're trying to do that.
Nice slice and dice, keeping on the front side of the fight. Ole could get a long Cosmic Binding now against the turret. Doesn't find it. Actually, Scarl popped off, but they're still going to get Zig. I've actually never seen him have this much trouble from a team on Kled.
Yeah, he really is getting picked on, and Flame's just doing a great job. I mean, he's got that early advantage. He's really pressuring it. Zig didn't think he had a chance to get out, decides to not even blow the flash despite having a lot of time to do that. Just kind of accepting his fate there. But it means another turret, and this is exactly what Immortals need to do, and it's kind of what they failed to do, play to their win conditions in the last game.
And having some series of wards as well isn't even helping P1 at this point. The journey is just allowing Ole and the team past these wards, past any of the vision that would keep you alive, and it's like you're getting a Zac engage from everybody on Immortals right now. Yeah,
and it's one of the things I really do like about Ole as a player. He's a playmaking support. He plays stuff a lot like Morgana. He likes Thresh. He likes the Bard. He's very, very good on these explosive champions, and it's something that Immortals kind of had lacked for a time. That playmaking player, someone to look to make something happen, and I like the fact they're putting him on a comfort pick here, and he's getting something done.
2 Rift Heralds for Immortal over these past 2 games. We'll see if this one allows them to take a turret. We'll view this fight one more time.
And he goes in. I mean, Zig is already very low, so he is probably correct in thinking he can't actually get out here. So does just decide to save that summoner, and the big thing is they got the turret afterwards, so they're trying to continue extending this gold lead. But meanwhile, a lot of farming going on for Inori. He's actually a level up on Xmithie, despite the fact that Xmithie has gotten kind of more done. And Orianna is very close in gold. The Caitlyn is getting pretty strong, has cashed out her call, took down bot lane turrets. So P1 is going to get to a point where even from behind, they will be pretty scary in the team fight, as long as they can try to make Immortals fight for every inch, not just start giving up too much.
Still waiting for the scaling. And not close enough for the binding. Chain of Corruption's flash as well. Everything at the last second, and the cleanse immediately. to make sure that does not stick. But Immortals all over the map is just coming out of the woodwork, and P1 is not expecting it.
I mean, it's another play from Olay, right? Force both the mid lane summoners. Cody-san timed his ultimate very well, so Ryu did have to use both those summoners, like he called it out, with that cleanse, and now right onto that mid lane turret. Orianna had to back up, and they don't really have the wave clear to feel safe to do this, it looks like.
They have to call Zig over. It might be the engage. He actually stops halfway through and turns back to the top lane, knowing that the wave is cleared. A few wards are behind Immortals, but really no position for Zig to get behind them and get a clean engage. The team has a lot of safety to get out with that magical journey. It's like Immortals still playing it safe too. They'll get pushed back. They're not going to take every fight just because it comes to them. They are playing their win condition quite well here. Looking at a 3,000 gold lead, just about 20 minutes in.
Yeah, they really are. The one thing going for P1 though is if Zig can stabilize against Flame and just hold that lane even, you know, you don't join the fight, but he doesn't either. In the 4v4, P1 is actually very, very even, pretty much. Like, they're actually pretty reasonably tied here, and with the comp advantages, I think that they can match up 4v4. Most of the advantage is on Flame, so if Zig can stabilize, they can look to try to fight it out 4v4.
Got his Black Cleaver, currently sitting on 1,200 gold. So Zig does have items to get. He's trying to clear out these last few waves here. But you can see he's down 1,600 alone right there on to Flame. It's such a great early game. Mid lane pretty even up, as we said. We just have to see one of those shockwaves hit here that Immortals has been so good at dodging. Trap line is out. Last bit of protection here on the mid turret, and it looks like Immortals will stop the pressure.
And if you're P1, you're really unhappy about the fact that it was double Infernal. I mean, that is pretty brutal because Elise is building damage, well, going into some tank now, but you know, a lot of AD on Renekton, on Cody-san. Belter is going to get a lot out of this. Like, everyone is going to get something from this, and the fact that you're able to pick up double means they're able to get these pretty easy objectives without having to force anything too crazy. Nice reaction.
Always worth a try, but it is very hard to hit. Especially if Belter was kind of playing mind games in the mid lane as an Ahri versus an Ori. Sometimes you'll sit near the ball. You're ready. You're saying, oh, yeah, I'm a little slow to the hit this time. And you'll always get that Orianna to play the ball game with you. Here comes Rift Herald. Yep, on the top side.
Exactly. He held on to it, didn't even expend it on that low HP turret. And it's going to get a lot of damage down here. They're sieging aggressively. Can they actually kill the turret? Probably not. Almost, though. That's like almost an entire health bar on that turret. So now Flame can actually get back in the isolated 1v1 in that top lane. And one or two hits, and he will take that out. So that's now the safety of that removed from Zig.
See, Olay playing pretty scary up here, but also making sure Cody-san could possibly get out alive, waiting for the blast cone. He's over, and he is to safety. Flame now, lane to lane. He's doing coast-to-coast work for the team, making sure everything's pushed when it can be pushed. He's just close to the CS that Ryu has right now as he's been keeping himself up in farm. So it seems like P1, without that early game, definitely on the back foot, not able to find their way in. It's almost kind of flipping that first game over. We saw P1 engaging all the time, and now they're having trouble even finding a way in.
They definitely have been. Pretty interesting second buy here from Smithy. Early Knight's Vow, actually, for Cody-san. Already linking up with him. So to me, this really does tell you that they're trying to actually push their edge now. They're trying to, you know, get Varus to the strongest possible point that he can be at because he has a lot of their kills and you know, already on 2 items. You get him the Nice Vow on top of that. If you can keep him alive, he's going to be very, very powerful in the fight. But a lot of interesting itemization options here. Like, you know, Zig, he picks up a Caulfield's. That could be a Death Dance. It could also be a Mob, but they're looking for an engage. As Flame is bot side, we'll see if they go for it.
Zig could throw it down here. He has the entry right to the back line, but he can't really see the front line. The ward just got placed, and he did not like what he saw. Flame teleport up. Looks like he's going to wait on seeing Zig come down.
And he's just going to zone him off the creep wave, right? Try to force Zig away, and Olay is here.
Ultimate rather coming in from Zig. Shady just on the other side. He's going to slow the team. That will alert them the rest of P1 is here, but it's no way to engage, so Immortals can still stay, play in the jungle. They're really not fearing anything right now, as they know P1 still has a bit of work to do before they can take the upper hand.
And honestly, they don't have to fear anything. As long as they know that they have even or greater numbers, there's no reason to be afraid. They're very, very strong at this point in the game.
Top wave eventually going to squeeze out for P1, so they don't have to worry too much about it. Bot lane they're handling right now. But Immortals doing a very nice job recuperating from game 1. Cody-san and Ole switching things up a bit, even after taking that hit very early in the bot lane with summoners down. Able to stop that bleeding from happening. And again, Ryu, a very big focus here. They know that's a game-changing ultimate from Orianna. That's not the first Tempered Fate we've seen for him.
No, definitely not, but he has been able to do a pretty good job avoiding
Yep.
that. The fact that Immortals now got all this vision around the bot side jungle gives a lot of safety to Flame to play aggressively. He'll know if Olaf or someone is kind of coming over there, and if he actually has to be safe. Looks like Ryu expended his Shockwave and Kovalter expended his ultimate, so I'm assuming that was a trade there to dodge out on that Shockwave.
Gotta try. As many times as you know she's gonna Spirit Rush away, it's Spirit Rush or Shockwave, right? So you take it, you go on it.
Yeah, and I think it's a good trade for Ryu if he can get that every time, because he is just trying to farm. He is just trying to slow down the game, and if you can make Pobelter blow his kind of playmaking ultimate every time, then it's harder for him to really push the pace, right? And as P1, you want to play the slow game from this position.
They're both just about 69 seconds for Pobelters and 68.5 for Ryu, so as soon as they come up, they are firing right at each other. Ward clearing going on by Immortals, so they can make one of those plays count.
The one thing you obviously have to be scared of, though, for Ryu is if you drop that Shockwave and he ultimates past the ball aggressively, then you could be in trouble in an all-in.
It's scary.
But Pobelter hasn't really had the confidence, or perhaps hasn't had the vision to allow him to do that. So it's definitely something that he's got to be careful of. And Ole on the side, probably looking for a Bard ultimate pretty soon. It's going to be coming back up, and that will likely be their next attempt at a play.
There's a cleanse. Very nicely done. That called for a chain of corruption. Shockwave just missed as well. A few more. So, whoa! Cody-san trying to get the hits on the turret. Underestimating the damage. Puts Immortals on the back foot here. And P1 has not had this chance for a while. Luckily for Immortals, they were able to create the distance right away, but that was dangerous.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of frustration there, kind of seeping in for Immortals. Not able to get anything done for a while. And they try to overforce on that play. It actually almost costs Cody-san his life, but he does hold on the summoners. And Zig is setting up for a flank here. I'm thinking that Cody-san may have had to go back to base. He actually hasn't, because I do believe he had that red buff and a lot of regen, so right back to bot.
Oh, good spread. Ragnarok. Teleport, that's Flame. He's going to be right on Honori. Does he try to go for him? That was Ruthless Predator on the first hit, or just his Tiamat. We'll have to see the resulting fight here if he can stun. Just calling the wave to get it forward now as everybody repositions onto this one. Zig, oh, double stun! No follow-up from Ole, though. Unfortunate. But he saves himself, and actually that made P1 turn as well. These skirmishes have no end, but many starts. Somehow.
Yeah.
Many starts.
They're not able to really get anything too big from it. Trade of some summoners, some ultimates being traded out. Immortals will grab the dragon, but this one is not something that P1 is super concerned about, and definitely not one you want to fight over. If the next is an Infernal, that's something they may have to consider fighting for, because triple Infernal may just be too big of an advantage to actually give over, and it is. So for Immortals, you essentially now know in 6 minutes, they must contest you.
Yep.
So you can look to try to set up a big play around that time before P1 has really gotten to the point where they would ideally like to fight.
Seems like so long, Isaac. We have to wait 6 minutes?
It definitely is. And I mean, that's the thing. It's like, for Immortals, they're kind of feeling that pressure too, right? You know, because this is scaling. Like this whole composition is very, very powerful. And Ryu, he has not been dying in a while. He's been farming well. Arrow is going to be approaching, in that 6 minutes, he may be approaching his 3rd item here too. If Caitlyn's on 3 items, if Orianna's on 3 items, you're pretty scared if you're only up a couple thousand gold here.
Now, we did see that Caitlyn was the first pick on the side of P1. It did happen that it was the Elise Ferris. So if Shady comes up big on that Lulu, that Caitlyn pick for Arrow, your MVP of Spring Split, could be coming up huge. As you said, farming well, Ryu farming well. The impact plays have not happened yet. Here we go. Oh, my word. Ole taking a bit of damage, but he has been able to get himself in and out of these situations that calls P1 over, wastes their resources, then gets himself back with the team. Here, I think they're taking a little bit too much damage. A little too much grief for the advantage.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can get control around the Baron,
Yeah.
you know, force P1 to come forward, then you make a play. Because you do have a lot of pick, you have a lot of CC, but you don't have a great straight up just walk at each other 5v5. You need to hit an Elise Cocoon and pick that person off, or a Charm, or a Bard ultimate, something. You can't just walk straight forward through a Shockwave, through, you know, this Caitlyn trap line and expect for it to work.
There's a shockwave that hit. We haven't really seen the damage yet.
Ah.
They haven't either, so they don't know the distance. Xmithy now has alerted his team. That's an ouch.
Orianna is strong, boys. I mean, Ryu has been farming for a long time, and he is getting very powerful. I mean, so much farm on him, and even Zig going aggressive on Flame now. Now that he has completed his death stance, despite the fact that he is down that Gargoyle Stone Plate, he's pretty strong at this point.
See Ryu chatting it up with the team right now as they make calls off of that move. Knowing that they have Xmithy down means this is an opening.
Pobelter is kind of coming around behind them, though.
Oh,
they
man.
may look to set something up here. Arrow gets caught. They will look to fight.
Pobelter now in a ward. Actually, he's cleared it with his sweeper. And that's not going to be an engage. Somehow Arrow gets himself to safety. Ace in the hole onto Pobelter, as that has just been continuous from first game to second game, as the AD carries have even changed that champion. Okay. Interesting interaction in the journey to the bear trap. And it looks like they are going to get themselves some damage on the turret. Good wave clear here from Cody's son and Ole. And now Pobelter waits. He was patient on the outside, biding his time. And can Flame actually be the one to cut them all off?
Level 3 ultimate.
Zig's looking for him. They feel like he could be coming from that right side, and Nori will be the face check. This is not a resulting fight, but it might mix things up for a second.
Not able to actually continue the play. P1 is just playing so patient, and now it's Ole caught.
Shockwave. Very surprised it did not clear out Ole. He must have got a heal down on himself. And it looks like a flash there. As he gets out, summoners are coming back up as well for Arrow. He'll be a little bit safer on the Caitlyn. And I think both teams... Oh, they are not going to wait for ultimates, but finding a Nori on the Cocoon is not the one they can take down.
Exactly. And Nori is so good at actually face checking into this. You have the Lulu behind him for the shields and speed ups, and if they commit to it, you ultimate, you run right out. So it is definitely someone who is pretty good at playing from those scenarios. Zig with that death stance doesn't really mind taking a little bit of damage here and there. He can lifesteal that back up, and Ryu is getting very close to his third item. In fact, he actually decides to purchase that Ludens instead of waiting for a death cap. So he has his 3 items.
Yep.
Arrow's on 2.5, and there's still 2 minutes until that dragon spawns. So these guys are going to be at very, very strong points.
Pobelter working off the ball, making sure the team, he knows they can defend mid. They just did it with Cody's son and Ole versus 3 for a while, so he is not needed for wave clear.
Oh,
that's going to be the hit. Xmithy's in it as well, and they have a Nori on the other side.
Pobelter coming from the side.
Teleports there. Ryu gets hit. Wild growth on a hit from Shady. He's been on point with the ultimate, but can he save the rest of the team now? Zig in a bad spot, tries to get to the back, and Immortals are starting to crush the health bars of P1. Both teams gather with each other. Cooperating now on either side of this mid lane. It looks like a Nori still trying to gain vision, but nobody went down in that fight with the safety of the supports and their teammates.
Yeah, again, just it ends up being one of those fights where it's just a trade of summoner spells and ultimates, and no one does go down. It looked like it was kind of some of that anti-synergy with the Cocoon landing on Ryu as the Bardol comes in. You may have wanted to just deal damage into that with the cleanse not up, but Zig does need to reset. He needs to get his health back. And try to get healthy and back out there on the map, because 45 seconds until Infernal, P1 needs to have vision around this, needs to try to set that up, because if Immortals get it, they should be able to close it out. So that, in my opinion, should be the focus for Immortals, even more so than perhaps the Baron right now. But obviously, you do need to keep in mind that your opponents could look to rush and trade.
And Immortals putting up a very similar game to P1. Look at Flame in the solo lane, Pobelter in the solo lane. That was Zig and Ryu last time, doing very well at 3-0 whatever and 3-0 whatever. Now it's Flame at 3-0-3 and 3-0-2 Pobelter. These guys going off quite well. And now they're looking somehow to close out this game. They've also done a very good job at not giving P1 an objective to fight at.
And Zig is top without TP, so P1 may just be making the call to not even fight for Infernal, which seems bizarre to me to give over a free third Infernal to this team, but I guess they don't feel like they can fight for it. They feel like they're too weak right now, perhaps, and they may try to force around Baron, but they're not going to be able to do anything. Cody's son's going to take this easily and then move back up to the team, so that's really big for Immortals.
Flame has also taken top CS, got his stone plate as well to be a beast if he needs to teleport into the fight. Remember, those teleports are now mismatch as Immortals are solo grabbing objectives on the map. That's 4. And now in another few minutes, they're going to be able to go for that Elder Drake. As we said, knowing they can force that fight. In the previous game, it was the same situation. 10-6 here, 32 minutes in, as the Baron Vision starts, but it's just the jockey for that area.
I mean, to put some things into perspective here, with the triple Infernal and the Death Cap, comparing the mid laner's AP, that's 300 AP on Ryu compared to 560 about on Pobelter. Like, that is an insane advantage. And Pobelter has so much AP now, if he catches anyone, he can kill him off.
Oh, Cody's son being torn apart right now by Inori, but Inori gets turned around on it. Smithy dodging the ball. Ole over the wall. He's going to be a bit of a chase now with that shrine behind him for speed as well. And it looks like, again, the team separate, not fully knowing what their initiation or the end result will be. Inori in a bad spot. He's got Zig just next to him. Pobelter misses the charm over the wall, but he gets the Orbit Deception on the return. Hitting Inori. Flame goes in, takes a few shots. Arrow throws out the Peacemaker, but cannot find that result. And now Zig just missing out on the Cocoon. A shield from Shady as Immortals once again close down on just one member, but then another turret.
And they can perhaps even just keep pushing it. They're going to actually go straight back towards the Baron with Inori dead, Zig very low, and no TP on him. They know this should be theirs. Flame is a little bit low on HP. Shockwave coming up pretty soon. We'll see if P1 actually wants to try to fight this. It's going to go down fast.
Ball Vision, huge damage to Ole, moves it in, doesn't have a Shockwave position on that. 2,000 health on the Baron. That's the hit to Xmithy. Flames out with a sliver of HP and probably calling the team over as well. They can't afford to fight. Pobelter going in huge. Xmithy picks up the kill. Arrow now doing what he can. He does have Shady on his back. Zig says we can fight this, and the team is there with him. Pobelter just going to go ahead and pray for this one. He's going down. A kill to Arrow, but they do lose the Baron.
And it's still very worthwhile, I think, for Immortals. We'll see how much P1 can actually get off this, but you're seeing the effects of these neutral objectives that they've taken, and they're so ridiculously strong. With the triple Infernal, Inori is getting absolutely melted, and then Pobelter stepping forward, deleting Ryu. They are so powerful at this stage, and P1 felt like they had to try something. If Shockwave was up a little bit earlier, it could have made the difference. I think this Observer UI, I'm not sure it was actually up just yet at this point. At least in live, it didn't look like it, but right now, Flame moving forward has his GA complete, and they're going to look to chase him down because Smithy is here too.
They are out of there. Quick run to the base. Good vision wards in there for P1. They will be able to stop or see Xmithy coming through, that they can stave off whatever this snowball would be. Unlucky for them, Pobelter waiting to come back up. You can see how much pressure just 2 people can create, though.
Yep, and I did get confirmation that in the replay, although it showed the Shockwave being up, it was down as it appeared to be in the live play. So it wasn't that Ryu made some misplay or anything, just not using it.
Yep.
He just didn't have the ability yet. Otherwise, he would have been able to punish more.
3 seconds away.
Very, very close. And that can make all the difference, right? Like, at this point, when you're this strong on Orianna, the Shockwave combo, you can actually sometimes just outsmite the jungler.
This becomes difficult. You can't even take a look at the camps in your jungle without seeing Immortals come out from behind the wall. And even then, P1 wants to get as much damage as they can on the outside fight when they're trying to make Immortals retreat. It's the back and forth. Who's got the better yo-yo game? P1 goes in, P1 pulls out. Immortals tries to get themselves a little bit of room. A huge wave on the top side is about to crash into the turret, and it's got to be respected by P1.
Yeah, I mean, Immortals has a great gold lead.
Oh, that's a ward.
Yes,
that's a ward in a wave. Never mind.
Their composition is going to get, like, outscaled technically, but with Triple Infernal, like, all that math is essentially out the window. So it's going to be so hard for P1 to really do anything here. Yeah. They need a really good Shockwave from Ryu. It's basically reverse situations now, where Pobelter was not able to find that Shockwave last game. We'll see if Ryu can do any better this time around.
I think you'll be able to find that Shockwave on Oli and Cody's son. They're the 2 that actually haven't separated, so if you're ever going to find 2 people to hit, those might be the ones. P1 was playing the same thing against Pobelter's Orianna. Great separation in these fights, but you can find that AD carry and support next to each other. That possible chance.
And that would be huge if they could. You could follow up with the Olaf and that Kled diving in and maybe then win that fight. But if you're going front line to back line, if both ADCs and both mid laners are hitting each other's tanks, Triple Infernal is such an insane advantage that your tank line gets melted.
Almost 10,000 gold in the lead. Stretched thin now. P1 across the front side of their base. Immortals puts the finishing touches on a few of the outer inhibitor turrets. Next wave coming in here from Flame may be one of those. He will be responded to by Ryu. You're just waiting, ready to set up these bushwhacks, ready to play. Ole, no, how many supports this late in the game hang out by themselves? I'm gonna start calling him Trole. He just hangs out. He can just mess up your roam so hard. He's been doing it by himself, back and forth, picking up chimes, getting a cosmic binding.
Oh, and here's the engage. They're looking for Cody-san.
Can they get through? Here goes Zig. Cosmic Binding back. They lock him up, but the bear trap on a rope just gets broken. Cosmic Binding in. Ragnarok's going to be next. That is held. And again, Ole gets his bot lane out.
Yeah, they're able to survive, and top lane is being pressured. Ryu is here. I don't know if he can take this 1v1. We'll see.
The Shockwave on himself. Throws down the sombrero for the party. And a slow walkout. The redemption coming in.
Yeah, he should be okay. Bard is coming here as well. I don't know. Ryu's going to keep going
They're
for
going
it.
to fight for it. Oh, hit comes in. One more onto Pole Belter. The Guardian, or I'm sorry, onto Ryu. The Guardian Angel is procced up. Slice and dice through. There they are. The Ragnarok's not going to be stopped by the binding. Yes, it just wears off. And once again, he gets out his players alive.
Was so long that the Ragnarok expired during it, and they're already on the Infernal. If 3 Infernals wasn't enough, you add in the Elder, you get 50% more on top of that. They are so ridiculously strong with the true damage plus all the AD and AP they have.
Immortals is playing several little games around the map on this game. They're able to play a little bit of a fight in top side, making sure they're working off the ball as they get the Elder Drake on the bottom, and now with a 10.6 thousand gold lead. They look to put the hits on these turrets. Trap line is out, but it's only going to do so much if they lock down the turret. Ole over the wall. He's going to start drawing in a fight, but that allows the back line to get hit, and Pole Belter takes that advantage immediately. Turret goes down, so does Ole. Is it hashtag worth? We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I mean, Ryu is back up, so they're going to look for the miracle fight. They need a good shockwave. Can they get it?
And Righteous Glory there as well for the team to use if they need more catch. Smithy taking the damage. The repel is straight down as he has nowhere to go. Flashes over the wall, taking one shot. The charm, are they going back in? They do! They take down Ryu. He's out. Zig, very, very low, waiting to get Scarl. One more attack, but he can't get in. And it does not look like anybody else is going to get the shot that they need. Flame right on that heavy call to Meek. If he needs to get his health back, he will be able to. And Immortals play that one right to the skin of their teeth. Arrow looking for possibly another kill, but the team hesitating on their calls. They say safety over aggression.
Yeah, I mean, Arrow team fighting very well. You would want him to try to step forward and finish off those low HP members, but he knows he can't because they're so strong. And if you get hit by really one Q and even a W from Pole Belter, you're probably just going to die. I mean, Ole is going pretty nuts here, feeling very confident, but look at the amount of damage Pole Belter puts on a full tank Olaf. If that is your AD carry or anyone else, they die instantly. So that is the threat he is dealing with. But P1 does hang on. Arrow getting a lot of damage out, playing it very safely here too, and maximizing his efficiency. And with good team fighting from him, they are still alive against all the odds.
That's something we said about it earlier. A lot of the stats match up here. But Arrow's damage.
Look at that. That was a charm that did 80% of his health.
It was ridiculous. That over the shoulder of the tank right in front of him. What a shot onto Ryu.
That's actually nuts. When I saw him get chunked that hard, I had assumed it was the Q plus the charm. That was just a charm. He almost one-shot him.
Kiss of death, man. 15-9, 40 minutes in. P1 holding off this game against the odds because Immortals has been at the front door of that base.
Oh, that Bard ultimate.
That was a flash as well. Shady is definitely stuck if he gets hit. Cosmic Binding missing on the outside. Ryu may not have much longer to live. Wildgate's coming in from Shady as he can, and he gets taken down instantly by Flame. Zig and the rest of the
still
team
alive,
very
though.
low on the backside. Can he hit? No, Arrow does have red. He can kite himself out, but there may be too many members to kite out as it's only Arrow and Ryu alive. Immortals is in the base.
They are, and they have the minion wave there. They're going to get at least one more inhibitor, but P1 is going to heal back up. They're going to get back out there, and these are some low health bars for Immortals, so it's a little bit risky if they stick around. We'll see if they try to go for the end.
30 seconds, no shockwave. Arrow can still deliver that damage. The trap line is set, and the headshots could be the catalyst to keeping the base alive. If Smithy goes down, the ball will not reach, and no dissonance damage to follow through. Arrow in a bad spot now. He finds two members of Immortals. The Nexus is now going to be in the eyes of Immortals. And 20-9 in a turnaround game 2. Immortals brings us to a game 3.
Well played from Immortals. I mean, they did what they needed to do. They did have some trouble closing it out, but the objective control really paid off for them so big. Grabbing those 3 Infernals, getting the Elder Dragon. And really that was the biggest difference throughout this game, because P1, they got behind early, but they were able to delay. The fact that Immortals got triple Infernal and kind of controlled the map like that was really their edge and the reason they won.
Props in both games now to the solo laners. P1 had it in the first game. It was all about Flame and Ryu. This game, it was about Zig and Ryu. This game about Flame and Polebelter playing so well. Bot lane coming up after that huge hit in the beginning, but Immortals really stepped up this game. Game 1, they seemed to be okay with things happening. This game, they wanted to make things happen.
Yeah, they did, and they had to, because they picked this pick composition where they're going to get outscaled, they're going to get out-team fought in a 5v5. I mean, look how close some of these team fights were, and they were up, 17,000 gold with triple Infernal, and these were close late-game team fights. So had they not made so much happen, gotten all those neutral objectives, they certainly would have lost late game, but they were able to execute it, and we're going to game 3.
I love it. Great start to the summer split. We're going to get 6 games on day 1, and there's still 1 more to go. For more on how Immortals tied this series, let's hand it off to the analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv. Going to game 3 again here in our second series. This time, Immortals striking back to even it up 1-1. But I got to be honest with you, I did not expect that game to go as long as it did based on how it started. I mean, we had the craziness at level 1, blowing lots of summoner spells and even getting kills handed over. And then we have the 8-minute craziness to the bot lane, which we'll get into. Before we do that, let's look at Champion Select again, because minor adjustments were made by both teams. We swap out the Jarvan for the Renekton, and then we get the Bard here for Ole, and I feel like it's an entirely new look for Immortals.
Yeah, and I really like that, because you think back to Ole's champion pool from before, loves things that pick, Thresh, Morgana, he's even pulling Thresh bans, right? This guy loves to play champions that catch people out of position, and he can identify that very quickly, so I think the Bard is a really good playmaking champion for Ole. And then they also had a top laner that could shove out, that Flame looked very comfortable on, and they went with just overall a more pick-centric composition instead of team fighting, which I think does suit Immortals' style a little bit better.
That said, they were aided by 5 early kills here at 8 minutes. 5 for 1 in the bot lane. Let's take a look at this Clown Fiesta.
Yeah.
As it develops.
One of them is an execute, though, so they didn't get
That's
full credit for that one. But I think one of the big things here is the TPs come through, and then Ole gets caught out on the side. Right now, Cody-san actually goes up to kill some minions to hit level 6, and he just continues to make sure that they can have that ultimate. And then the rest of P1 actually wrap around, and this ultimate becomes crucial here to lock down Inori, and it actually spreads to Ryu to keep him in place and deal some extra damage there to get them and pick up those early kills, and then have the wraparound. And Arrow really just wanted to help. He just walked straight through the turret, but the fight's already over by the time he gets there.
Gets the execute off, but 2 kills over to Renekton. That sets up, as you mentioned, Flame on a split pusher. Looked very comfortable on this champion. Also had the gold to make work with.
Exactly, and I think a big thing, like Azale was talking about it right there on the desk, that this was a team composition that kind of got outscaled from Immortals, and P1 would just out-team fight you, even though they were so far ahead in the late game. Immortals still struggled a little bit in the team fights. It doesn't seem to be their forte to begin with, but also that composition could have been bad, but that was a fight that got, slingshotted back on to the Phoenix1, and they started it.
Now the sun has set here in LA as we get a look at Polebelter, our player of the game this time around on that Ahri. I know, Zyrene, you loved the build path taken by Polebelter, considering the state of the game, both the gold that he had as well as the dragons picked up.
Yeah, a lot of Ahris will go things like Banshee's Veil second, and you really want Void Staff like third item, but he went for a Death Cap as well as a Morellonomicon and a Luden's Echo. So he was actually, when they got 3 Infernal Drakes, he was getting over 120 AP from those Infernal Drakes, making so much use of them that he was able to run into those team fights, Spirit Rush in, W, really didn't have to hit any skill shots, and then people were just dying left and right.
Yeah, I mean, you heard Azale talking about when the charm hits in the late game, so he did hit the skill shot. It did 80% of Ryu's health. He doesn't have to hit it. He could have just W'd and probably killed everybody, Spirit Rushed around, and yet he was still hitting the skill shots, and that's the thing. Now, I do want to take a step back for a moment and say, while Immortals did get the victory, we have to acknowledge that they did it with a substantial lead from very early on, and it still took some time. So, of course, we'll be looking for them to clean things up, be able to close a little bit smoother. And then on the flip side, we got to give a nod to Phoenix1, a team that even last split during the spring seemed to surprise all the time with how many comeback victories they would have, or at least their ability to stay in games and elongate them off the backs of players like Ryu and Arrow.
Exactly. I was about to say their 2 carries in their mid laner and their AD carry with Ryu and Arrow. those guys are very consistent. We even saw like last people up at the end of the game, you know, fighting tooth and nail to make sure the Nexus doesn't go down. I think their carries are very solid players. It's just the people around those carries with Shady, you know, getting acclimated completely, and then Inori coming back into his role as the starting jungler, and Zig, who actually looked really out of sorts this game. So they didn't have kind of their rocks around them to build and have that foundation on, so their carries really didn't get a chance to shine because their front line was just dying so quickly or getting picked off.
Well, the teams are all tied up, but only one can claim the series, so meet us back here for Game 3 of Immortals versus Phoenix1 right after the break.
Let's go.
Let's go.
High energy, guys. High energy.
3 members up here. And
Missed. Cosmic
Nori's
Find
done.
taken
He's
down
gonna
to
go down.
Nori. It's going to Flame. Is that going to be first blood for him? There is no smite here. His ghost is down, and so is a Nori. Doesn't look like it's ended. They're still going for the fight. A shockwave hits Flame. Doesn't do much damage. This is going to be a Nori going down, and now Flame coming up huge. Ryu's going to get taken down with one more swipe. Are they going to take it? Belter goes through the wall. Oh, finds Arrow. The kiss of death.
Hold up. I'm here. Play.
Keep going.
Wildgate's coming in from Shady as he can, and he gets taken down instantly by Flame. Zig and the
Arrow's
rest of the
still
team
alive,
very
though.
low on the backside. Can he hit? No, Arrow does have red. He can kite himself out, but there may be too many members to kite out. And 20-9 in a turnaround Game 2. Immortals brings us to a Game 3.